Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that sounds a bit dry, but I promise you it's packed with drama, power, and a surprising amount of mystery. We're talking about central banks. When you think of central banking, what comes to mind? Maybe the Federal Reserve in the US, the Bank of England, or perhaps even older institutions in Italy or Sweden. But what if I told you that the true origin of the central bank, the very first blueprint, was created almost 700 years ago by an organization you've definitely heard of, but probably never associated with finance? Forget everything you thought you knew. We're going back to the year 1306. The world is a very different place. Kingdoms rise and fall, and one of the most powerful entities in Europe isn't a country, but a military order of monks, the Knights Templar. Yes, the legendary warrior monks, famous for their role in the Crusades and shrouded in conspiracy theories. But their greatest legacy might not be on the battlefield, but in the world of finance. At the height of their power, the Knights Templar weren't just soldiers. They were the most sophisticated bankers of their time. They created a system so advanced that it laid the groundwork for modern banking and, yes, the first real central bank. So how did a group of religious knights end up running Europe's finances? It all started with the Crusades. Pilgrims and knights traveling to the Holy Land needed a safe way to carry their wealth. Carrying massive amounts of gold and silver across thousands of miles was incredibly dangerous. You had bandits, pirates, and treacherous roads. The Templars came up with a genius solution. A pilgrim could deposit their gold at the Templar Preceptory in London, for example, and receive a special letter of credit. This letter was encoded with a cipher known only to the Templars. When the pilgrim arrived in Jerusalem, they could present this letter at the Templar house there and withdraw the equivalent amount in local currency. It was essentially the world's first international wire transfer system. This innovation was revolutionary. It made travel safer and trade easier, and it made the Templars incredibly wealthy. They started managing the finances of kings and nobles, loaning money to monarchs, and holding vast deposits. Their network of preceptories, or branches, spanned across Europe and the Middle East, all connected by this secure system. They were trusted, efficient, and everywhere. Essentially, they operated like a medieval multinational bank. Now let's fast forward to 1306. The Templars have been expelled from the Holy Land and have relocated their headquarters to Paris. The Paris Temple wasn't just a fortress, it was the financial epicenter of Europe. King Philip IV of France, who was deeply in debt to the Templars, even stored his royal treasury there. The Templars were managing his kingdom's finances, collecting taxes, and making payments on his behalf. They were acting as the state treasury. Think about what a central bank does today. It manages a nation's currency, controls its money supply, and acts as the government's banker and fiscal agent. In 1306, the Paris Temple was doing all of this. They weren't just a commercial bank taking deposits and making loans. They were performing state-level financial functions. They were managing the royal accounts, influencing the flow of money, and had a network that gave them unparalleled control over the European economy. This is the crucial step from being a powerful bank to becoming a proto-central bank. No other institution had this level of systemic importance or performed these specific governmental functions. So, why don't we hear about the Templars as the founders of central banking? Well, you probably know how their story ends. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, King Philip IV, crippled by debt and envious of the Templars' power and wealth, made his move. He ordered the arrest of every Templar in France, charging them with heresy and a host of other fabricated crimes. His goal was simple: to erase his debts and seize their vast fortune. The king succeeded in destroying the order. The Templars were disbanded, their leaders executed, and their assets confiscated. But here's the fascinating part. When Philip's men raided the Paris Temple, the legendary Templar treasure was gone. It had vanished, along with their extensive financial records. The Templars, with their incredible network and intelligence, likely saw the writing on the wall and moved their assets and their knowledge. The abrupt and violent end of the Templars meant that their financial system was shattered and its history largely erased or suppressed. Subsequent banking families, like the Medici in Florence, and later state-sponsored banks like the Bank of Sweden or the Bank of England are usually credited with pioneering these concepts. They certainly developed and formalized them. But the Templars were the ones who first built a large-scale integrated system that performed the core functions of a central bank more than 300 years before the Bank of England was founded in 1694. Their system of letters of credit, their management of state treasuries, and their international network of branches all point to one thing. The Knights Templar were not just warrior monks. They were financial innovators who in 1306 created the world's first functioning central bank. Hidden in plain sight within their powerful military order, it's a piece of history that was almost completely forgotten, buried under centuries of legends and lies. So the next time you hear a debate about monetary policy or the role of central banks, remember the warrior monks who secretly ran the finances of Europe from their fortress in Paris. The true story of finance is far more exciting than you might imagine. What do you think? Were the Templars the first central bankers, or is this just another layer to their myth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. See you in the next one.